Hi, I'm Marty Grizzani, and this is The Marty Grizzani Show. As a full-time real estate investor and business owner, I have a real fascination of finding the key principles for business success and personal development. This show is a reflection of my personal mission to find out what truly makes somebody successful in business and in life. We will find tools and tactics that they've used to reach those levels. If you're the type of person is not satisfied with average and you have a hunger for learning that will never cease, this show is for you. Welcome to the show. What's up, guys? Martin Grizzanti. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm real excited. This is actually a field trip that I'm on because normally you're at my podcast studio, but today I was very lucky. John was able to let me come to his beautiful office. I have today Mr. John Rizzo. Good to see you, brother. How you doing?
Thanks for coming over. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. A little background, John and I, we've worked on a few different projects and just an absolute unbelievable CPA. His team is just incredible. I'm here to ask some really just pointed questions on business, leadership, and even real estate investing in general. Some of this is going to be kind of high level, but at the end of the day, it's going to be really good for everyone because, taxes, they're coming.
That's right.
They're coming. So John, anyways, give us a little background, man, on who you are, what you've been doing, what you're up to. Love this place, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thanks for coming over and spending time with us at our place. I appreciate it, and thanks for all the kind words. And I remember when we first met, and you were just getting started in real estate. And
a mess.
I wouldn't say that. There was something in you that I knew would end up in success.
Appreciate
and
that.
Here you are doing really well. So,
thank you.
But it takes all that hard work to get there. No one could say that it's easy.
No.
And I could tell you, especially just doing these things alone. So congratulations to you as well.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So where we come, we're a CPA firm. Started in 2005. We are a boutique firm. We are always big on customer service. Having really tight and close relationships with our clients. And we've kind of grown that over the years and kept that philosophy in place. And we've grown because of our success. So the challenge has always been, how do you grow but maintain boutique? So that's really what we've been working on here is, one person doesn't make a company, it's a team.
Yes.
And how do you integrate the culture and everything that goes with a team into one place? As far as what we do, all the traditional accounting services, we really refer to ourselves more as a business consulting firm, more than a tax accounting firm. But we do all that stuff. So we do tax, accounting, auditing, and we have a consulting division that focuses on merger acquisition. We specialize in real estate, so we work with a lot of real estate owners on helping them, find deals, structure deals, all the accounting that goes with it. Really anything financial that relates to real estate. We get involved with that too. On top of that, we have what we call our ERS division, so Employee Retention Solutions.
Oh, wow.
And it means exactly that. How do you retain your employees? Well, through effective payroll, through effective health insurance, and then we manage investments in retirement plans to go with all that. So we basically have a consolidated offering of services on a concierge level. So when clients are looking for an all-encompassing place to handle all their finance from top to bottom, this is where they would come for that.
I love that.
So a lot going on here.
Yeah, no kidding.
A lot to keep track of, but we really focus on a certain client base that doesn't stretch us too much where we can't provide that impeccable service.
Okay, so you guys started this when?
2005.
Okay, so that's an interesting time because if you look back, because this is one of the things I talked to you about and why I wanted to leave my old role as a salesperson and go full-time in real estate is because, you took a risk. You left a really big company,
Yep.
a big firm.
Yep.
And I never asked you this, but 2005 was a pretty good year, but then 2006, 2007 really wasn't.
Yeah.
So was there any growing pains when you guys left? Or were you like, geez, this was probably a bad idea?
Yeah, no, never. It was the best decision we ever made.
All right.
And the decision to leave was more one of, my partner Brian DiGiaco and I at the time we're very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just want to do things your own way. I was at a firm that was really growing to a level of hundreds and hundreds of employees where I didn't feel like I'd have this sort of influence that I wanted to have for several years, if at all. So we, kind of started at the bottom. And really, the Rochester economy is not always the national economy.
Good point.
So basically, we were economy proof. We were doing individual tax returns. The economy wasn't affecting individual tax returns.
Right.
So we had a list of individuals who were already doing their taxes. We started doing tax returns at kitchen tables. I remember, we'd at the end of the day, kind of hustling the way you do. End of the day, someone would get home from work, they'd have finished dinner, and we'd show up with our laptops and do their tax return. And it that was where the personal touch started. But we were willing to do anything to be successful and to help people. So, 05, you could say, the crisis of 08 and everything, all that happened.
Yeah.
We weren't even mature enough as a business for that to affect us.
Got it. That's true. Right. Because I love that, because if you guys could see the office, and for some of the people watching from the upstate New York Real Estate Investor Group, John graciously said that at some point we could do a meet up here, because it's unbelievable. So just thinking about how it started, where you're in a kitchen doing a tax return, and now you guys are here. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
If you look back, is it kind of wild just to think, did you ever think in your wildest dreams this would be something?
I'm more a look ahead than look behind person.
Love it.
So I love where we're at. I love what we're doing. I think about the next thing more than the last thing.
Okay.
You know how it is. One negative could wipe out a bunch of positive.
No doubt.
And so I never want to run into any sort of negatives.
Yeah.
So we're happy where we're at. We never get comfortable. We love getting out of our comfort zone. So this is great, but it's behind us.
Yeah.
It's here. It's our home. We love it. But we're thinking about what's going to happen next.
I love that, because one of the things you said when I was walking in here, and I was I was in awe of the place, is that you go, we're actually, it's starting to kind of cramp on us a little bit. We might have to even go bigger. So where does that drive come from? Because here's the thing. I've done a bunch of these shows, and there's one key thing that I've seen through everyone I've talked to, and it's there's a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Right? Have you always had a sense of urgency of I got to get this thing done? Where are we on this? Why do you have that?
Yeah, I think it's, we run our organization a lot like a sports team. So to the point, if a team won their last game, you're going to have a letdown if you're so focused on the last game.
Yeah.
Okay, we won that game, so let's just assume we're going to win this game because we won the last game. No, the last game's over with. We move on to the next game.
Okay.
Not to sound like a sports coach.
Love it.
But that's what a lot of them say.
Yeah.
So basically, that's why we focus so much on what's going to happen next, and where does this all come from? For me, a lot of it was my upbringing.
Okay.
I grew up in a small house. My dad was a teacher. My mom was a beauty school dropout. She was a homemaker, and she was perfect at that role. And, she supported the family in every way she could. My dad wasn't home a lot. He was, coached 3 sports. He was a teacher. He was providing for a family. We had 3 of us. I shared a room with my brother. And, I learned a lot of hard knocks back in the day of, hard work is what ends up in positive results. That's kind of always been my foundation. And I have to thank my parents really for that. And then along the way, you attract other hard workers in the process. Our partners here, our staff, there's a certain philosophy of, we feel like responsiveness and hustle and likability and relationships and being humble are all the things that makes us successful. Is that the playbook that would work for everybody? Probably not, but it's the playbook that works for us. It's gotten us to this point. Now, as you grow, there are other challenges that come into place where being humble and hustle, sometimes hustle isn't good. If you're moving too fast on a larger account where there's, big dollars at stake, you could make a mistake.
Right.
So you got to be careful about the balance as well.
And that's kind of where I'm at with my business is we're hustle first, and our motto, and it's maybe not good, is hey, sales will save this, right?
Yeah.
And that's good to a point, but as we've matured in our business, there is a thing where it's like, hey, you really need to, get the procedures and the processes into place.
Yes.
Or you're not going to scale. You're just going to, you're going to get bigger. Like our whole thing right now, and for a lot of people listening, is we want to go from being self-employed to a business firm.
Yeah.
So right now we're self-employed. And so we're working through that. How did you guys go from being kind of, hey, we're self-employed CPAs into a business?
Well, we're still working on it. This is the real answer.
Got it. So it doesn't ever go away.
It doesn't. It should go away at some point. We have clients that are great at this, that kind of sit above the organization and have their staff and their management kind of running the operation and then reporting up, to the CEO or managing partner or whoever it might be. I agree with your point on process, and I'm the first one to break up a process, because I'm just kind of running fast, and if there's anyone here would tell, and I'm self-aware of that.
Yeah.
That hey, I might not always follow process, but today I realize how that could be a problem as you grow and expand an organization, because if you have kind of one link off the chain, the bike's not going to move.
Right.
So I agree. Process is super important. How do you get there? I'm very big on hiring the right people that fit the culture and then utilizing them.
Right.
Let them be the best person they can be. If they can be the best person they can be, then that helps themselves, number one, grow and develop, and the organization. I'm very big on creating opportunity. I don't need to be the boss of everything.
Right.
I actually don't want to be the boss of everything.
Interesting.
I like to empower people and for them to take on those roles. And sometimes it's a stretch, but think of that accomplishment, that when you tried something that was out of your comfort zone, maybe you thought out of your skill set, but when you actually accomplished it, how much that advances you personally and professionally.
So much growth can happen through that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because that's one of the things that can be tough as visionaries is, how do you put that down into a procedure, right? Like what's made us so good in that one level is not going to make us so good in the next level.
Right.
Right. So it's like you said, I think that's a really good point for me, and I'm sure for the people listening, is it's the who. Yeah. It's the people. Yeah. It's not necessarily the how. It's who can you bring in that can maybe take that thing that you are not that good at and make it even better. Or if you're 100 at it, can you hire 2 70s?
Right.
And now you got 140 kind of working for you. No, that's really good. So urgency, because one of the other things you talked about too is, and I don't know if this goes away, is we have a little bit of paranoia. And I've always said, after I heard this, Ray Dalio said, if you're not worried, you should be worried. But if you're worried, you don't have to be worried.
Right.
So does that resonate with you at all?
You're always thinking, you're anxious, you're worried, you're concerned. Yeah. You don't shut it off.
Okay.
We just brought in someone from the outside, Amy Vetter, who's very well known in the CPA community. She's a yoga instructor as well as she was a CPA in a accounting firm. She understands our world. So we spent 3 days with her just last week.
Wow.
And we spent a lot of time here on balance. So it's not good, right, to always be anxious and worried.
No.
And so we counteract that with the balance of doing other things here. You referenced the office. We have a good sized kitchen. We have a large bar here. We have a gym. We bring instructors in there. So we're very open about, hey, we like being together in this world of remote work. We're not the biggest fan of remote work. If it's necessary, we offer it. If it's necessary, then of course we embrace it for our staff, but that's what's best for them and their mental health and everything else. But we also like the fact that we have amenities here.
Oh, yeah.
Where if you need a break at 10 in the morning and need to go into the gym at 10 in the morning. If that's going to make, clear your mind, take the worry away, take the anxiety away, because when you have all that, you lose focus too. So you'd rather be focused than those other things. So as business owners and entrepreneurs, you need to find that balance. There's groups out there. I'm a member of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. That's my sounding board, to know when I need things I need to be working on professionally to keep things intact. So there are tools in place that we utilize to offset what you're talking about. But what you're talking about is always in there somewhere.
Right. And that makes sense that fitness is a big part of it. Right?
Yes.
Like, hey, you got to have your mind right. Because it's not necessarily about, going to the gym for, the body. It's for the mind.
Yes.
For me, a lot of times. So that's really good. And you guys got to see the gym in here. I mean, again, John hasn't said this, but when he was talking about kind of building the business, they have 70 plus employees now. So they're definitely, they've done it the right way, I can tell, especially just by the work that they've done into their, in their building here. So question in regards to, as we are building our business, and a lot of people that are building their business, and you've done that, is there something like, hey, that was a really good decision that we made? Was it maybe the hiring was like that first hire, like really tough, or were you like, I don't know, do we need to do that? Like, what are your thoughts? Was that like a really good decision? Do you remember like having one where it was like, wow, that was a no-brainer?
No, there's a lot. I think if you're thinking, you have to think, in my opinion, about 3 to 4 to 5 years out versus just today. So someone could argue that, hey, you're going to make a significant hire today. How are you going to afford that person? Number one, there's the stress and worry and anxiety. And can you keep them busy enough? When I would look at that decision and say, where do we think we're going to be, not today, but 3 years from now? Like you mentioned, we've almost filled up this space already, and we've only been here 10 months.
It's crazy.
So in hindsight, we'd say, well, we would have preferred to look out 3 to 5 to 7 years and say, kind of fill that space over time versus in 10 months. Now you could argue, well, we grew faster than we thought, or things like that. But that first hire, the way I think and go about business is, I think about the future and the goal. Where do we want to end up when I'm making decisions?
Interesting.
Some people would argue it's a stretch at the time. I'm more of a spend money to make money person, which is what I understand, not a typical trait of a CPA.
Right.
Most CPAs, when they work with their clients, are going to tell them, don't spend money.
Right.
You're spending too much money.
Right.
I'm more entrepreneurial. We're saying you should make the investment. If you're a hard worker and you have a certain culture and all these philosophies we're talking about that we think make a business owner successful, if you believe in all that, then you'll believe in the success of that hire. Now, being thorough is the next step in making a hire. Like on the flip side, some of my regrets would be, they always say, hire slow, fire fast. Most business owners fire slow.
Right.
Right. And I'm one included, that there's been people over the years that just doesn't fit for them, doesn't fit for us, and we carry that for too long sometimes. Right. That would be one of the regrets I would have, is I would employ the fire fast a little quicker. And we certainly have learned how to hire slow. We have talking about process, we have a pretty extensive process when it comes to hiring.
That's really good. And like to remember that, because, it's at times we've had that situation where we have somebody on the team and it's not just them anymore. It starts to kind of infect the other people that are on the team. So you're not helping out. You think you're helping them by keeping them on, but you're actually hurting the other people, as well as them, because they're probably better off somewhere else. Right? Yeah. They could probably grow and do more and be better at another company. So
absolutely.
All right, a little bit of a speed round, because I know we don't have too much time. I guess if there's like one, I always ask this because it's important. Is there like a metric that you look at? Is there like one metric, if you could look at for the week or a month or a year, that kind of tells you the success of the company? Like, is there a metric that you're looking at?
Yep. So it's kind of an intangible metric that I would call culture.
Yeah.
So whenever we feel the culture's off for whatever reason, that's what gives me anxiety. Like, how do we get the culture in place? Because we really feel culture's number one.
Yeah.
So culture would be my answer
Okay.
as to the metric. Now, how do you measure culture? Not as easy. It's a lot of communicating. It's having discussions with people. We have a mentorship program here. It's going to lunch with people, having coffee with people, listening to everybody here to see where they're at. Are things good? Do we need to work on things? And then sitting down with our partner group and figuring out how we can implement, certain things to make sure that the culture stays strong. Now, we're accountants, so we have a whole bunch of financial metrics that we look at,
right.
More to see how we're doing financially.
Right.
In that we can read that, like blindfolded if we needed to.
Right.
So those are other metrics, but those don't mean anything unless the culture's right first.
I was going to ask you, so if you know your culture is going to be really good, if you know that's going really well, I'm sure the balance sheet is probably telling you the same story.
Yes.
And here's my question, because this was, I thought, pretty tough then. So when there was remote, and there still is, I got two thoughts. Number one, the people that do come in the office, there's got to be like an added chip. Like, hey, I can see you are here. Like, there's just no doubt that if you want to stand out, so for the people who are employed and they're trying to like go up the ranks, is there any doubt in your mind that the people who do show up are the ones that are probably going to be the ones that do move up into management positions?
Yeah, I think they have an advantage, but I think there can be effective remote work. Like I said, we're a team. We have a culture. We like it starts with, do you actually like going to the environment you're in every day?
Right.
And some employers and employees can't say yes, to that question. We feel strongly that our people want to actually be here.
Yeah,
so we haven't forced anyone to be here. We've created an environment that we feel they want to be at. Now, we allow remote work, like I mentioned, if there's circumstances that require you to do that. You're a stay-at-home parent, you have kids, right?
Sure.
Young kid. That was the issue with COVID, that you had so many families that didn't have an answer for childcare,
right?
When their kids weren't going to school. So obviously they're going to stay home more.
Right.
But even then, they were finding ways to come in here and be around the team.
Excellent.
But yeah, I'm a proponent of being busy. Like you mentioned, a lot of your podcasts have been Zoom. Like this may be even the first one that isn't Zoom.
It is.
And there's a reason for that, because to me, this is a lot more effective being here with you, showing you our space. We're not through a screen. We're live here together. This is an example of how effective being together can be.
I agree 100%, and I think this is something I'm going to be continuing to do, is do the in-person. I've really enjoyed it. I know we don't have much time left. I got two more questions for you. Is there a book that you recommend for business owners? Or maybe even investors, or maybe just what's the last book you've recently read that might be helpful?
Like I'm a big Rich Dad Poor Dad. Full disclosure, I don't read a ton of books.
Okay.
I read snippets of things through my entrepreneurs group. There's a lot of learning that happens that comes from this, like Rockefeller Habits, things like that. Okay. Traction is one, like ways to run your business type of books. I'm more of an instinctive entrepreneur.
Interesting.
I just kind of like have instincts that I think are, right between wrong or effective ways to do things. Am I always right? No. That's impossible.
Right.
I have a good partnership here that I have a sounding board with my entrepreneur group, with our COO Corey here, with our partners here. I have a good stable situation at home with my wife and kids. So you don't bring a lot of work into home, but there are discussions that you have with your wife.
Sure.
Where that's very helpful to have her input, and she's in business herself. So that's kind of how I've always operated, is using the peers around me to let me know if something's off, and then not waiting too long to make changes.
Okay. So, masterminds, like that EO is a mastermind.
Yes.
I absolutely agree with that 100%. Big fan. Again, upstate New York real estate investors, that's what we have with our group. So, and last thing, I guess, John, is if you lost it all today, what would you do? Or how would you, again, you still have your knowledge on business and everything, but if you lost it all today, what would you do?
Well, that's a tricky question. I'd probably
go back to the kitchen table and start doing.
I have less to do. So that would be, we all complain about, what's the first people someone says to you when you ask them how they've been?
Good.
Well, good and busy.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's busy in their own way.
Yeah.
So you could argue that my busy's busier than your busy.
Definitely.
So I think step one would be a little bit of a relief on certain things that I have less to do.
That's
and
awesome,
then
man.
I'm confident that, and I've built other things around the firm. So if you lost it all, everything, I'd get back to the kitchen table. Yeah. I'd start over. I'd reflect a little bit. I'd focus on what worked, what didn't work. And I'd take that moment to, some of it would be very interesting and welcoming, that now I can start over with a blank sheet of paper. Because as an entrepreneur, like when people change jobs, and we hire a lot of people that come from other firms and other places,
sure,
there's something liberating about that you're starting with, you're starting fresh, right? And everything that happened at that last employer is over with.
Right.
And you could do things the way you thought you should have done them at the last place right from the beginning. Maybe you're not as busy day one.
Yeah.
And there's probably a good feeling about that I can start over
right.
and peck away at things. And then when something comes up that's stressful, I can deal with it maybe a little better than I did before.
Interesting.
So I think it would, for me, oddly, would be exciting to start something new.
I love it. It's a great answer. It's a great way to end the show. I mean, is there anything you'd like to leave everybody with?
No, I just want to thank you. And,
thank you, man.
There's a focus on real estate, right, with your group.
Sure.
So I'd be happy to, speak with your group, offer our space for you guys to come over here.
Awesome.
There's a lot of technical real estate things that we're involved with that are exciting. We're a big promoter of downtown Rochester.
Absolutely.
Being down here, and it's exciting to see that. And we've had a lot of attention from government officials and clients and other business owners since we've been here. And it's a great place to invest in. I would encourage your group that are all, in the real estate realm to, there's some bumpy times ahead. I think we're already starting to see that with
no doubt.
Interest rates and, changing, and deals are different than they were, and occupancy, I don't know where that stands. And there's a lot of challenges for real estate owners today. We were kind of on cruise control a little bit for the last several years. It's disruptive right now. Deals we're looking at are deals that were in process 3 or 4 months ago that are supposed to close before the end of the year look very different than they did before. So there's a lot of planning and process and things we talked about that needs to go into real estate right now based on the environment.
No doubt. And just to say again, you guys deserve all the applause you guys get for investing in Rochester. A lot of people are still wondering, hey, when's the time that we're going to move here? Now you got some cool stuff with Constellation coming here, which is great.
Yeah.
I was talking to Ken Glazer. I was like, everybody should be down here. Anybody who claims to have Rochester as a client base or whatever, you guys should be here. There should be an office, Wegmans, right? That's number one in my mind. There should be an office down here. But John, thanks, man. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much,
appreciate your
man.
time. This was awesome. So guys, John Rizzo, if you're looking for information, you know where to go. We'll have the website and some information about the next hopeful event here in this space. We'll see you soon.
Thanks. Go Bills.
Thank you for tuning into the Marty Grisani Show. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, leave us an honest rating and review. If you're on Spotify, make sure you follow us for weekly episodes.